Caravan podcast. Caravan Week offers a series of daily podcasts from the 3rd to the 7th of November with youth and social circus leaders from Serbia, Palestine, Lebanon and Russia. How do youth and social circus organisations use circus as a tool for resilience in the face of these global challenges? That's what we're here to discover. Thanks for tuning in and we hope you enjoy.
Hi everyone, my name is Will Borrell from the Caravan Circus. Welcome to the first episode of the Caravan Week podcasts. Today we're joined by Diana Mubarakshina, the head of communications and fundraising at Upsala-Circus. Upsala-Circus began more than 2 decades ago in St. Petersburg, Russia, working with children and young people from challenging backgrounds. In recent years, their organization has found a new home in Zeitz in Germany, where it continues to blend contemporary circus with social engagement. In this news chapter, Upsala-Circus works closely with young refugees, creating spaces where they can rediscover joy, safety, and a sense of belonging through youth and social circus. Welcome, Diana. It's great to have you here.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Will. Thank you very much. I'm also very exciting to be here today.
Yeah, we're delighted to have you on here. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, of course. So my name is Diana. Congratulations, Will, on making my surname right at the first try. That's a real accomplishment. I'm really happy. So I've been with Upsala-Circus already for 4 years. 3 of them is in Germany. So it's a little bit for me hard to remember what my life was without circus in my life. But yes, I have joined the circus completely by accident. I actually was working before that for various humanitarian organizations, international humanitarian organizations, and I wanted to close this chapter of my life working with non-profits for the time being. But then, just by accident, I met the wonderful team of Upsala-Circus, and they were looking for a new fundraiser in their team. And I was just completely amazed by what they were doing in St. Petersburg and also by the team and how all the processes were built within the organization, because it was for me completely different from what I used to see in non-profit and social organization. It was a very business-like approach, and I was really excited, and it was a great opportunity for me to learn. And yes, so I joined them. It was a lot of new ways for me, a lot of new people, new knowledge, a lot to find out about circus and what it really is about, and how circus can actually change a lot in the positive way, and how you can use it as a basically universal tool for solving a lot of social challenges and questions and problems. And then after 1 year, in February 2022, Russia has started the big war against Ukraine. As we were a very much independent project and cultural independent project in St. Petersburg, we understood that for many reasons, professional and personal, not all of us were able to stay. And we also wanted to do something to contribute to help people who were suffering from this war. So that's how we decided to try and to go to Germany. It was not like a choice by accident. So one of the co-founders of Upsala-Circus, she is a German. She's from Germany. So it was established 25 years already by 2 wonderful women, Larissa from St. Petersburg and Astrid from Germany, from Berlin. So we always had these close connections, and throughout its history, Upsala-Circus was touring in Europe every year. And Zeitz is a very interesting place. It's an eastern part of Germany, and it's post-industrial city. It used to be very prosperous. It used to be very big, around like 90,000 people population, which for towns is quite big. But then, because it's eastern part of Germany, when the country united, 2/3 of the population just left. So it became a ghost town. And because it was a ghost town, it actually had a lot of empty spaces. So a lot of people with refugee and migration backgrounds started coming to Zeitz from 2011. And so we first, as a team of Upsala-Circus, we came to Zeiss in 2018 for a short-term project. So we brought our teenagers from St. Petersburg. We brought them to Zeiss to work with teenagers, with migrants and refugees. And we did it because already in St. Petersburg, Crimea has happened, and already the war and the propaganda of war was very strong in St. Petersburg. So young population, they're very sensitive to what is happening. So that's why our teenagers in St. Petersburg, they already started this rhetoric that war is great, Russia is the biggest, strongest country in the world, we can repeat our success of the Second World War. So, and because words with teenagers usually don't work, you need to have some actions. So we decided to bring them to the teen and young people who actually saw the war so that they can talk with each other and share this experience. So that's how we found ourselves for the first time inside. So we started doing this project, Rebels for Peace, in 2018. Then we came back in 2019. Then COVID happened and we did some online stuff. And then when the big war has started, we had this meeting with the team. We in St. Petersburg, we have a beautiful tent, wonderful space, and the whole team gathered, trainers, teachers, everyone from what we call like development team, all the administration workers, to have this honest discussion about the future, because everyone was in shock. And for us, it was our own safe space where you can come and talk with the people, because it also was a very horrible time, because suddenly the freedom of speech was non-existent and you don't know who was thinking what. So for us, our space, our circus space, where we trusted everyone, so we share what was happening, and everyone was in shock. I was the person who didn't believe that the war will actually happen. So the day before, I was convincing my brother why it will never happen. So, and we had a very honest discussion of what's happening in St. Petersburg, because we were facing a lot of also funding issues, and what is the plan. And Larissa and Vera, she's the leader of the team and every operational and strategic processes. They asked that there is an idea to go to Germany, that in Zeiss right now receives a lot of refugees from Ukraine, and they don't have the city, and the city administration do not have any kind of infrastructure that will be enough to accept people and to provide not only like to cover the basic needs like housing and stuff like that, but there is nothing now, no social and cultural infrastructure. So there is a question if we want to come and to try and to do something. And we were all very honest that there is like no guarantees. We need to get some kind of visas. We need to go there. So there will be some kind of like places to be and to stay, but nothing fancy, and we don't know what's going to happen. Like we have now funding for like 1 month. After that, we don't know what to do. So, and I was among those people who said, yes, I want to go, because for me it was on a personal level. I couldn't imagine myself staying in St. Petersburg and continue living in a country, and I don't know. For me, that was not possible. So I didn't, and I didn't have like children. My family is in Belarus, so that's nothing that was holding me very much there. So that's how we came here. It was in April 2022, and now it's a little bit funny to remember, but basically, yes, we came with like 1 suitcases. We brought some of the circus props that we could bring with us, some juggling balls, some plates, some scarves. So, and it was also very anxious and nervous. We were very nervous because we understood that now that was actually the easy part. Getting visas, traveling and stuff like that, it was an easy part. The hard part is to start the dialogue with the families from Ukraine, because we understood where we are coming from, and we understood also that we also bear some partial responsibility of the suffering, and why these families who had lives, children were going to schools, everything was good, and then suddenly in 1 month their life completely changed. This is just like our chapter 1. So we came to Zeiss, the city that nobody knows where it is, and yeah, it has one park. It's called Goethe Park. It's the only open public space. There's that one more park, but it's near the castle that we have. And so yeah, the only like public park. It's Goethe Park, which was also, there was an unofficial rating of the best and worst parks, public parks in Germany. And the Goethe Park took the first place from the end. So because during the day it has one playground and there are a lot of kids, and as soon as it darkens there is another kind of audience which sells drugs, drink a lot of alcohol, and in general it's not a very safe space to be. So, and it's a mixture of something. So it's and we just started going there. So we went to we also started facing like German Ordnung and bureaucracy, which I personally love because it's and so we came to the city, and it was good that they already knew us because we were here before, and we knew some of the people, and I said, hey guys, we're here and we want to do something. We want to start some kind of open workshops. So we don't have any place like a specific space, and say, oh yeah, okay, you can start doing something in 2 weeks. And it's like 2 weeks is a long time for us because we are coming from completely different culture where it's okay to plan something today and do tomorrow. So 2 weeks is like what we're going to do for 2 weeks. And we just started going to Goethe Park, doing some circus workshops, basic stuff. And circus is something that is very appealing to kids and teenagers. It is something that you don't need a lot of language. And in Goethe Park, there were not only guys from Ukraine, but also from a lot of kids from Syria, Afghanistan, I think Bosnia. So a very mixed group. And then, of course, we started talking with guys from Ukraine and be very honest. Where are we coming? Why we are here? That we are against the war and that we left St. Petersburg because we do not support the war. And some of the team members it was no longer safe for them to stay. So that's how we started. So it was the first month was like that, doing something in Goethe Park for the very first time. Then again, the power of circus community and also thanks to the Caravan, because we already knew people. So some of the circuses gave us the old or like something that they not very often use, mats and some unicycles. So we started already growing with the circus props. So we had more possibilities to do something with the kids. And then our good friends from Porter. This is like on the hill, the former monastery, and now they're also doing some cultural space. They said, okay, guys, you can have this big barn for the summer. And I'm still very grateful for them because I cannot imagine the sacrifices, we can say, because it's a very quiet space. A lot of people are there, living there because they're introverts, they like their solitude, they like the silence, and then suddenly 40 kids and teenagers are on their territory doing circus. So the amount of noise there was unimaginable, but they were like, no, we love you guys, please stay until the September. So that's how we started like that. So, and because the majority, this is a language and also some cultural specifics, that the majority of the kids that remained with us, this like formed group, were the guys from Ukraine. So they were of very mixed ages. Someone was 4 years old, someone was 16-year-old, and from very different backgrounds. A lot of the kids were actually from the sports background. So for them, it was also great that they have something to do to continue practicing, because once again, sites is still facing a lot of challenges in terms of providing opportunities for free time, for leisure time, what to do for the kids and for adults also. And we started because for us, it's very important that, and it's part of like our DNA, that everything that we do should have some kind of creative outcome, so that we do not do circus just for the sake of circus. So we always creating something with the people that we work. Youth, adults, doesn't matter. And Larissa, she's the co-founder and artistic director. She said that we will create a fairy tale, because she thinks that for her and for the guys, it's super important that they keep telling themselves and keep reading and keep fantasizing fairy tales, because luckily not all of the kids were facing the direct consequences of war, so they just left their cities, but some of the kids, they unfortunately witnessed what happened. So some of them were living under already occupations. They had some horrible experiences. So it was an opportunity also for us to give them some outlet where they can dream, fantasize, talk safely through their experience. So, and we organize some series of like creative workshops where in the end the kids have come up with a story of a ball of yarns that travels around different countries. It got lost, it couldn't find way back home. And so then two of our good friends who are musicians also joined us because they also left Russia and they were looking for a place to ground themselves a little bit. So they came to us. And so that's how we came up with our very first creative product in sites that is called Yarns of Fedden in Germany. And it was where 48 children of very different age are on one stage and they are doing something, telling their fairy tale, telling their stories to the city, to the adults, to themselves. So in a way, it was a healing process, the start of the healing process for us, for the team, and we hope for the guys also and for the families, because after the premiere of the performance, if you can say, we also organized this festival for the families from Ukraine. They were cooking food, creating some of their traditional handcrafts, and it was wonderful. So after what was like 2 months that we came, it was already in the end of June, we had this celebration. So it was a change of this instability, uncertainty of what's going to happen next. You just have this here and now, this point of celebration where you can enjoy performance, music, food, people, sun. So it was a good day for us, and I hope that for the families and for the kids also. So this is how we came to Zeitz, and that was our point zero where we started from. So we are joking that we are starting from scratch, and from the beginning we have already. So in 3 years when we are looking back, so we have undergone a lot of ways. We learned a lot about resilience, a lot about ourselves. But yes, that's, I think I will always come back to this state as some kind of point zero where you could breathe out and say, okay, it seems like we are staying here and we will do something here.
Yeah, what an incredible
Maybe
story,
you,
Diana.
because
Like you say, go on.
yeah, because again, maybe you have some questions, because this is like the story I can keep on telling and telling for hours and for hours with details and stuff, but because maybe you have some specific questions, because yeah, and something that is more interesting to you.
No, not at all. This storytelling, like you're saying, keeping the fairy tale alive, and there's a magic in circus, and I think it's a really powerful tool, like you say, for resilience, for dreaming, for staying resilient against oppression and against war. So no, it's really amazing to hear you tell the story of Uppsala in Zeitz, and like you say, to me, it really sounds like that point of departure from your circus tent in St. Petersburg really came from a perspective of resilience, of wanting to keep your safe space, maybe in a place where you no longer felt safe or represented or in line with what was going on around you. And so it sounds like a really brave step to move into somewhere, but again, like you said, maybe with already some contacts, already an idea of what was happening in Zeitz, and an understanding that the local context where you were arriving was in line with your organizational objectives, maybe, and like you say, being able to reach your target audience of displaced peoples. And so maybe I can ask what some of the key challenges were. I think you already expressed a few of them: some linguistic barriers, some bureaucratic differences between the working cultures, but maybe you can talk a little bit about some of those key challenges.
Yes. First, I would like to like not correct, but now when we came here, we didn't have like this idea, because we always were working with kids and teenagers from a risk group, and this was always our target audience. It also, I should definitely mention that circus continues in St. Petersburg with wonderful team and kids, and it still continues to be a safe space. So that, and when we came here for a very long time, we just didn't formulate for ourselves like who's going to be our target audience, and it just came up to us naturally that I think after one year and a half, we understood that, oh, we are also migrants. For some reason, we are also migrants, and that we understand the pains, but we can also use the tools. So that's why we said, okay, so we will focus on what we can do in helping building communities and bringing people together from different backgrounds. And that is also, I think while preparing to the podcast, I was thinking about the challenges because of course there is like the financial stability challenge and the funding challenge. But I think that's something that comes in second. The first one is because we had a core team came from St. Petersburg. And for quite some time, the only team we consisted of people who came to sites from St. Petersburg. And we were undergoing a lot so there was no work-life balance whatsoever because we were all living in the same space. We all started our lives from the very beginning. You learn how to get your documents, how to open bank account, how to pay for electricity. Thankfully, we had a very good friend and also one of the members and founders of Upsala-Circus who helped us cover the basic needs. So that's why at some point after 1 year and more people joined us, we started facing the realities of people undergoing the process of migration adaptation. So we started facing quite a big challenges and tensions and problems within the team and understanding that the expectations versus reality of people and where the basement of trust and honesty started falling down. So that was, I think, one of the first biggest challenges that we faced. Like April last year, where we understood that we need to do some drastic changes in how we build our team, what we put first, because people and the team members are the key values of our team, of our circus, and I think it's true to everyone. That's why we always knew that we want to build an international team, and it concerns the adult team and also it concerns the kids. So we try to avoid, because with the guys from Ukraine, with the majority, we speak similar language or the same language. So there is the huge risk of creating this like same language bubble where we exist safely in our space without learning new language, new culture and adapting. So that's why we started with the team. So we re-established the team last April, so it's already 1.5 years. We agreed once again on what we are doing, what our realities, and we had a very honest discussion with every team member in order to understand who is ready to stay or who is not ready to stay, because it is quite challenging also, and depending on where you are at your own life and what do you want to do with your life. We understood that, and we, the team members, we actually parted ways because our directions were not the same. So, and we started inviting more and more people from non-Russian speaking people, which is also quite a challenge, because then you have a person who doesn't speak Russian in a mostly Russian speaking team with a certain way of doing work and communicating. So now the more people we have from non-Russian speaking people, the more challenging it is, because we all constantly need to remind ourselves that our working language is not Russian but English or German, and the same with the kids. So we try to invite more and more German kids, not from Ukraine, not from Russia. In 2023, we did a project that was called 45 Minutes, and it was initially created as a project to talk with the kids about school systems, what is important for them. And we started working with one of the schools inside, and we had this idealistic utopian picture where we brought together kids from Germany and kids from Ukraine, and they start talking with each other, working with each other, creating circus. And then for some reason they didn't. Because in school, Ukrainian kids and teens, they are facing a lot of bullying because of their background, because of language skills, because kids are kids. And the same was happening in our space in the circus, because it was predominantly owned, if you can say, by the kids from Ukraine. And when the German kids were trying to join, the guys are like, no, this is our space. Why these Germans are here? We don't want them here. And you have this communication that, no, we do not want like that. This is an open space for everyone. And so for us, 45 Minutes became a project not about school, but more about how teenagers can communicate with each other when they're coming from different backgrounds. It was an interesting project in many ways. And I'm saying that we think that the most successful part is when 2 girls from Ukraine exchange phone numbers with 2 girls from Germany, because The rest, the statistics, the amount of training, the performance, doesn't matter. What matters is that we manage to bring together, even for a short time, this for kids. And it keeps going, one of the main challenges, how you build the process in a way that everyone feels safe and comfortable. There is I think bullying as a phenomenon is a challenge and problem everywhere in the majority of the youth organizations, schools and stuff. And we also facing the same because in a lot of ways. So sites is also, I think, good illustrations of the challenges that the whole Europe is facing, because it's eastern part of Germany. The amount of people who support Alternative für Deutschland, this is like a right-wing party. The last election, this was like 45%, every second person. And every day the amount is rising. And in a way, I can understand where it comes from. And this need for dialogue is also very strong. So that is also what we are facing within our smaller team. And this is one of the challenges for when we work with the kids, because when we invite German trainers, they have problems with communicating with the teenagers. And even the teenagers who speak German, they sometimes just refuse to speak German because they don't want to or something. And vice versa, when we have a mostly German group, and they have wonderful German trainer and also trainer who speaks German, but sometimes this is a lot of difficulties in communication. And I know that sometimes like there are talks in the city that this is Upsala-Circus only invites Russian-speaking kids, and I am always so frustrated and upset when I hear these rumors and say, no, look, we have this group, we work a lot with schools, but this is a challenge, how you build, because on paper it looks very very nice and very clear how you organize a work in a multi-language environment. But in reality, sometimes you face a lot of failures when kids are leaving, where the team members are not adapting very well on both sides, because some of the team members who do not speak German or English very well, they have problems with communicating, and then you're always like a mediator also in this. So I think that for us still this, and fitting into the city, fitting into the communities, fitting into the whole city perspective is also very important to us, and also quite challenging because of our background. We try to have this dialogue with everyone. We try to organize all our public events with the main focus that we try to bring people together from very different backgrounds. So because inside they live all in their own like bubbles in different communities, and people do not interact with each other very well. So we try to become this platform where people can come and do some silly fun stuff, or not so silly and not so fun, but to think about some serious stuff. So for example, we have a performance suitcases. We created it with our 3 trainers who also are professional circus artists. And it came as part of the art laboratory with different artists and dancers from Europe who came to sites to try to work. We wanted to do a project together. And part of the laboratory was just Larissa brought suitcases and said, okay, well, let's try to work with them as an object. And then suddenly we started seeing how our artists were telling their stories of immigration. And they were not a very easy one because everyone has their own experience. And we understood that we want to create a performance that talks about our stories of immigration, and at the same time it tells a story of other people, and it also tells the stories to the locals, to those who are receiving migrants and refugees, because we all see these huge numbers and statistics that now the amount of refugees is the highest throughout the whole history, but behind every number is a personal story. So, and now we show this performance in different locations, in smaller towns that receives also a lot of migrants, and we always invite different people, and now we try to organize a public talk afterwards to discuss what people have in their own suitcases. What do they bring in their suitcase? Because even if you didn't move from one country to another, you moved houses, you have your own personal story, and you have your baggage in your own suitcase. So that is, I think, the most challenging for us thing is how to keep trying and to keep building this very multi-language, lingual, multicultural, diverse community, diverse team of adult team members, of kids and teenagers, because we think that this is basically the only way how we can survive and see a better future, where we learn to accept differences and where we learn to communicate with each other with fewer instruments that we have. Yeah, so that's a long answer to the question. What challenges do we face?
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic answer, Diana, and I think if I've understood it correctly from your perspective, what is also a challenge also becomes kind of an opportunity as well, right? And the challenges, cultural or linguistic challenges, if we emphasize them and put energy into them, they can also be opportunities for learning and for building resilience. And as you said, I think that idea of acceptance and tolerance for different cultures. I think, like you said, with this project, new project Suitcases, and using that as a platform for migrants and refugees to tell their stories, but then also engage the local communities to come and have their perspective on it and their say, I guess starts to build rapport and relationships and understanding between these different cultures and communities. Is that about right?
Definitely. I think that the whole idea of the circus is where a challenge is becoming an opportunity, where your failure to do something is becoming your learning points. This is also like what I was saying, that at some point we understood that we no longer work only with kids from disadvantaged background, but we changed our perspective that we as a migrants, we work a lot with migrants also. And at the same time, we also have instruments and tools to work with receiving community and to build a more resilient community. Because for me, resilience is flexibility, but also this flexibility within the framework of your own values. So that is that we, in essence, we still remained Upsala-Circus with our mission of unleashing creative potential and of freeing people and making them happy. We remained our core principles and core values. We just changed a little bit the instruments and the people that we are working with. And I see a lot what other circuses are doing, and I see that they're all facing very similar challenges. And I truly believe that circus is a universal instrument that can bring people together and build a more resilient. So the more people doing circus, the better. So circus should be everywhere.
Maybe on that note, Diana, I can ask you, what circus for you? Do you have a discipline, or is there a particular element of circus that you find really, poignant or important to you?
Juggling. For me, it's juggling because you constantly juggle budgets. So I am the person behind the laptop. So I'm behind the strategy, the operational stuff, fundraising, budgeting. So for me, juggling is the key, I think, element, because you're constantly balancing something, partners, budgets, money. And this is I think it's going to be a lifelong learning way where you try to fit the creative ambitions and creative energy of all our creative team, trainers, artistic directors, choreographers, with the realities of the funding and budget. And it's a lot of fun. But what I learned it from my colleagues who actually hired me and invited me to the circus, that I try to be within the circus space as much as possible, because you tend to forget what the project is really about when you are under the multiple Google Sheets, tables, docs and stuff and meetings. You forget what it's really about. So I try to go to our space that we now have in already for 2.5 years, and to just be present during the training, because now we have 5 groups of kids and teenagers. So every day from 12 till 7, there is someone in the circus. And it's the energy that reminds you what it's really about. And I just love, I cannot tell you like the specific genre or discipline that I like. I just so for example, our like elder teenagers, the group that with us is the longest, they now just we have the scaffolding in the garage that we use for housekeeping purposes. And they came and said that they want to use it and to come up with a performance. And we said, okay, let's try. And they went for 1 week residency. We, not far from us, there are wonderful people who bought a former meal building and they're creating a circus meal there. So they hosted us for 1 week. And for 1 week, teenagers were creating by themselves, experimenting, using scaffolding, using choreography, light, of course, acrobatics, juggling, diablo and stuff like that. And they were all like mixing it in one performance. Now it's only work in progress, but still this is the stories that they're telling. So for me, this is the magic of things, how people with creative thinking, with the fantasy, how they're able to bring this fantasy into life. So I am always amazed how it started from the idea. So for example, Larissa or like our trainer and artist Goshu just came when we have every Friday this joint meeting with the team where everyone comes, and when Larissa says, I have an idea. And I am always a little bit afraid of this phrase when she says, I have an idea, because you know that something is going to be after that. But at the same time, it's amazing how this idea then becomes life. And something suitcase performances, or now something teenagers are working on. So for me, I think this is the magic of what they can do. And this is also the power of people, that the right people with the right energy that can feed the energy of youth, of teenagers, they can create for them an opportunity to experiment and to take risk, because of course, especially with the teenagers, they all love acrobatics and jumping and they love the risk. So for us, it's an opportunity to contain this risk in a safe environment, and also through that to give them food for thought so that they can think about important things through circus, not only jumping higher or doing cartwheels, but also to come to them and say, okay, so we want to, guys, for example, last year we did a project where we talked to them about what home and new neighbors mean. So through different approaches, we invited people who are doing documentary theater, and it also was an opportunity for them to look at the sites from different angle, because nobody in general likes this city because it's small, it has a lot of challenges, but it's actually a very beautiful city with a lot of beautiful locations, with wonderful people, with rich history. So we also try to give opportunity for the kids to find new sense in their life, because they left their homes and not a lot of them actually understood why. Especially smaller kids, they are not even part of the whole decision-making process. Grown-ups just decide that we are migrating and you're just coming with us. And you have a wonderful life with friends, school, kindergartens, grandparents, neighbors, and then you are in a completely new environment with new language, new teachers, new classmates who hate you, whom you hate. Yes, for us also, for me, it's magic how through circus and simple things, you can also start quite a difficult dialogue and try to find some common solution.
Yeah, it seems like this idea of being creative and creating from a point or an idea point, whether it's a suitcase or a piece of scaffolding or a juggling trick, that is an opportunity for learning and an opportunity to build resilience and to learn about life and your place within it and how you go. Really very, very inspiring work that you guys are doing in Zeitz, and thanks for shedding light on that.
I can actually, regarding the skills, it's something like the selling point for me in a lot of this like funding negotiation, because when you talk sometimes with very grown-up people in corporations or businesses, and they're asking like, well, what circus can do for your life, because of course I think maybe 1 or 2 kids will become a professional circus artist, but in reality, within the circus, you learn all the basic hard and soft skill, not hard, but soft skills that you will need in your life. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to be in the teammate. You learn, this is also something that I started learning when I joined the circus. You learn making mistakes. Because everyone is from different backgrounds, but I am from the background where mistake was not an option. You're either doing perfect or you are not doing something at all. So this skill of making a mistake, of allowing yourself a failure and learning from this failure, I think is invaluable in your whole life. And it's also something that contributes to resilience, community, better future and better societies.
Okay, fantastic. Maybe we can look a little bit towards the future. So what's going on for Uppsala in the coming months and years?
Years is a very ambitious for us to plan, but no, we are joking, not joking, but jokingly saying that we have like 2 phases. Survival is where we were arrived here, found a place, and now dreaming, where we start dreaming like what we want our future to have. But we remain very like realistic about it also. In the upcoming months, what we are doing is, as I said, we're showing suitcases and our teenagers are working on their new performance with the scaffolding. We don't know yet the working title or any kind of title. It's a little bit a secret, but I am very excited of what's happening. Next year, we are doing our big carnival. It's going to be the 3rd in a row. So 2 years ago, we started thinking that we want to do something with the smaller kids, as I said, because for them it was a traumatic experience. They found themselves inside. Nobody asked them, how are you? Did you like it? Nobody asked them, did they want to move? And so we came up, one of the trainers came up with the title Grosse Leute. It means big people. And we came with the idea that we want to create a city carnival where for one day, kids will just invade the city and tell what they want to the grown-ups, to the city. And it will be with a lot of colors, music. And this year, we also did it with a more specific topic of dreaming and flying. And the kids were coming up with some big objects of flying persons or rockets or stuff like that. And next year in June, for now, the date is 6th of June. We are doing it, but we are also collaborating with Bauhaus Museum and Foundation. So we are scaling it up a little bit. So we want to create big objects and go to the cities. And our big dream is that this carnival is going to be in every city in Germany at some point in the upcoming 10, 15 years. And we are also now stabilizing what's happening inside, and we are also looking for any opportunities to create and open one more Upsala-Circus, maybe in Leipzig, it's the nearest big city, or maybe building some bigger center inside. So now we are in a garage, in a former garage, which is a very nice space, but already not enough for us because we want to expand and form a new group and even more. So we need a bigger space, and we also want to do more educational work. We also want to do more exchanges between professionals. We also want to share our experience and expertise. So we want to organize regular schools of circus pedagogy, not only for circus trainers, but for teachers, social workers, because there are a lot of instruments that can be useful in your work. So we are now start looking into more developing and scaling up of what we are doing. So, and as I said, we believe that circus should be everywhere. So we want to be part of this universe of circus.
Yeah, great. And that's something we're working on all together within the Caravan network to shed light on the amazing work that we're doing, and for all of our organizations to be recognized for the value that they bring to their local communities and to this international community. So I don't know if you have any other kind of messages or ethos that you want to transmit from Uppsala. You mentioned a key phrase of like unleashing your creative potential or something like that. Is that part of the core values at Uppsala?
This is actually our mission. We are saying that we create opportunities for people to unleash their creative potential, and as a result, people become happier, and as a result of them becoming happier, they become freer. And I think this is really something that I feel very much on personal level. So I compare myself with me version when I joined the circus and the road that I took, how making the mistakes, understanding my strengths. So this is something that every person has a talent, every person have a strength, like a terrible strength, if you can say that. And this person should have an opportunity to explore it and to research it and to build on it. And then you become better version of yourself and you become happier, and then you continue to do it in your everyday life within the circus, outside of circus. So, and yes, and I'm very, very grateful to Caravan, because I know that I already told you this, guys, but the support that you showed us during the hardest months that we faced, and your openness to be there for us, it's something that gives you strength and give you ground to understand that you are not alone. You can always ask someone for help, advice, and this is also the strength of circus community. And now a lot of projects that we are planning or discussing, they are within the Caravan network. I'm really so. This year, for example, the guys from Cyrkion from Prague, they came to visit us during our Grosse Leute Carnival, and it was magical. So you have suddenly people coming and visiting, and that is one of my biggest dreams, is that one of the general assemblies of Caravan is going to take place in sites when we have wonderful new building so everyone can enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, we really appreciate that, Diana. Thank you very much. And I remember it also very fondly. Well, obviously it was a very challenging time, but I remember those meetings with you and Larissa and your proposal to move and how we could help. And that's something we obviously passionately believe in the strength and the resilience of our members together, and looking out for each other and supporting each other. And like you say, also sharing our learnings with each other so we can all benefit and progress and advance together. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and your values, and a little bit about the work you do, building resilience within communities in St. Petersburg and in Germany. And I don't know if you have any
Thank you very much.
final conclusions that you want to add.
That's a tricky question, like a challenging question. I think that, as I said, circus is a magnificent tool that gives you a lot of instruments, a lot of encouragement and inspiration, notwithstanding what you do. You can be an accountant in the circus, you can be a trainer, and this energy is something that moves and makes a difference. And I truly believe in it. So I am very honored to be part of this universe, to be part of this system.
And we're truly delighted to have you a part of our community and to be able to collaborate with you. We will have links to all of your social medias and websites, and links to your projects. You mentioned Rebels for Peace, the thread, was it?
Grosse Leute, suitcases, Fäden, suitcases, Grosse Leute, big people, and in general our website. So these are the key projects that we are doing right now. Yes.
Great. We'll share all of those. All of the links will be in the description. We encourage all of our followers, our listeners, to go and take a look at those and to follow the incredible work that Upsala-Circus are doing. And yeah, just a final big thank you, Diana.
Thank you very much, Will, Adrian, and everyone for inviting. And it was a lot of fun. I was a little bit nervous, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.